I was just talking. I know December is a crazy month, so I appreciate you taking an hour out of your morning to join us on this workshop call. If you haven't joined us before, we do a monthly workshop revolving around different social media topics. And, since social media is always changing, our content is changing a lot also. So trying to keep you up to date on the latest with everything. I'm Kimberly. Kimberly Ellis Marketing is my company. Grace, who is on the call as well, as Tucker Training, she is the social media strategist for Tucker, if you have not met her. So I just kind of fill in the gaps where I can help. One of those areas is these monthly social media workshops. And my marketing agency, there's a team of five of us that manage and consult various businesses all across the country, primarily with social media, email marketing, blog, those types of things. I want to give you a fair warning that if you hear an infant, there is an infant in my lap right now. My help will be here momentarily, but until then, we have a little baby Vivian joining us. So I will jump right in and feel free if you have questions as I'm talking to put them in the chat. And we always have time at the end where we can definitely hit on answering those questions. Okay, so our topic today is visibility during the slow season. So, not saying that you're going to slow down. I think we'll all have a really great busy winter, but typically this winter season in general is just a time to slow down for everyone. And it's definitely usually the month where people start talking and thinking about their 2026 marketing goals and strategies. So that's when we really try to dial in what we're going to focus on in 2026 by looking at trends over the past year and predictions for the next and how we can take advantage of those to move the needle on our social media marketing. So that's what we're going to focus on today, planning in the quote, slow season. Simplifying your strategy by grouping your content into themes that fit your specific brand, and that's real estate and beyond real estate as well. So we'll talk about that. Which platforms are essentially worth your time to be on in the next year, and that's going to vary, but I can give my recommendations on what's taking off now. And then additional tips for batching, scheduling, repurposing. If you've listened to any of my workshops, you know how much I love repurposing content. We need to work smarter, not harder when it comes to social media. And I mentioned this, what worked in 2025 and how to carry that into the new year. You don't usually have to reinvent the wheel, but make some tweaks for what is currently working in this landscape and what to do right now to keep momentum going. So, right now in December, before we're in the new year, before everyone else is thinking, okay, I got to start from scratch. I've got to get something moving. Let's start now so that in January it's not a mad dash scramble to do that. So, slow season can equal your time to start planning this stuff out, pausing and taking some time to reflect on new goals, but let's not get carried away. If you are starting from scratch and have not been active on social media so far, I don't recommend you plan on becoming an influencer overnight and posting every single day and growing by 10,000 followers in quarter one. Like that type of lofty goal is what I'm referring to. It's really easy to get burnt out on social media and marketing in general if you don't set realistic expectations. Obviously, we want to have goals and we want to have a firm plan to work towards those, but I don't want you getting burned out and hearing in March that we've given up completely. Now, if you have been consistent, that's great. We can, look at the types of goals that would elevate that even a little bit more to now, okay, I've got the consistency piece down. I want to get the growth piece down. But consistency is really what paid off in 2025 and will this year as well. Showing up even when business does get busy and not falling off the face of the earth, because social media requires consistency. It can't be a little bit here, go silent for a few months, a little bit more, It's going to be an excellent way to strengthen your personal brand in the new year. So finding ways, attainable goals, and finding that consistency piece and finding ways to stay consistent is going to be your most important tool when it comes to this. Like I said, if we can plan a little bit now and have sort of an outline and a game plan, then we won't be winging it in January. It's a great time to just reset. Like I said, we're talking to a lot of people right now. It's that time of year where you're just thinking, okay, I dropped the ball a little bit in this area in 2025. So how can I change that moving forward? So we'll talk about some strategy and content creation in general. Um, Content pillars or content buckets is something that it's like a very baseline tool that we use with a lot of clients. And it's essentially breaking your content that you're going to post into categories or themes. And first off, it's so that you're connecting with your audience on a deeper level beyond just real estate. But then at the same time, it keeps you sort of organized so that you're not just posting anything and everything and nothing really makes sense and no one really knows what to expect from your page. And it's kind of just chaos without these, if that makes sense. So basically what I just said, avoid content topic fatigue without sacrificing that consistency because we want our brand to be recognizable. So when someone sees a piece of content from us without even seeing the username or what account posted it, they can recognize that if they've been following you, that it's your content. That is the goal. It makes planning much easier too. If you're sitting down to batch content and plan content in advance, it's a lot harder to stare at a blank calendar and start from nothing versus if you have these general topics that you rotate through. And then again, your audience knows what to expect from you. And when you're reaching new followers, it gives them a reason to follow you if they connect to you on one of those themes or categories that you talk about regularly. So some general ideas for content buckets that tie into real estate are the basics, really. Local market tips, property highlights, those could be yours or it could be other agents' properties as long as, we're giving credit. Home decor. Home decor ideas, that type of stuff can be seasonal. I love to see the seasonal stuff. Behind the scenes is always going to work well. People are nosy. People want to see into your day to day. It doesn't have to be anything deep or, your deepest, darkest secrets or airing your dirty laundry on social media. That's not what I mean. But showing the day to day behind the scenes of what you're up to is always going to get the best results, especially in a personal relationship like real estate. People want to know who they're working with and why they should work with you and what areas they connect with you on. And then, of course, client success stories. So, how can we make those testimonials more interesting? And how can we get people to see themselves in the client success story? So, if you have a testimonial to share, or it doesn't even have to be a testimonial that your client wrote, it could be a story of how you helped a specific client overcome something. How can you turn that into content and make that one of your content buckets? So, again, those are just examples. I often, when I'm working one-on-one with someone, will talk to them about what they do outside of real estate or where they find that a lot of their sphere comes from and how can we turn that area of our life into content as well to connect with people. It's all about connection. That's what I'm getting at here. So what combination of these various topics and topics that you come up with on your own can make sense for your brand specifically? So this is kind of a reiteration of a lot that I just talked about, but you want to focus on pretend you are your target audience, right? Because of course that's our ultimate goal if we're going to be marketing on social media. I don't think any of you are really interested in a career as an influencer. We really just want to grow our client base. So how can you speak to that client base? And how is that going to be easiest for you? So what are you already good at? What aligns with your areas of expertise that will make creating content around this easy? And what is your client most interested in? And another thing I always mention is that it's easy to overthink these and think, oh, nobody wants to hear about that. Everyone already knows about that. I talk about this and this all the time. I would challenge you to ditch those mindsets because on social media, we're always going to be finding new people who haven't seen our content yet. A. B, even if people have heard your messaging before, they likely don't remember or need to be reminded. So you can always talk about it again. And C, I think when you are doing this every day, it's easy to get caught up in thinking that everyone knows everything you do. And that's just simply not the case in real estate. So, people are not buying and selling homes every day or every year, even, or every decade sometimes. So you can't oversimplify it, really, when it comes to your content. So the other point of these content buckets is that we're not always selling. We are connecting with people, making them feel seen, making them feel heard, providing some sort of value in our content with education. Educational content on social media has changed over the last few years, but I still stress the importance of showing your authority in this space and why people should trust you. And this is a free way of doing that, of demonstrating that in your content. So that being said, I still do need you to sell your service on social media. It's not all fluff and fun and games and, fun reels. It should also be reminding people. I mean, you can still do it in a fun way, of course, but still reminding people what you do because they won't know if you don't tell them and if you don't remind them regularly. So, like I said, this helps with looking at it through a different lens of, oh gosh, I have to come up with another post idea. Okay, let me reference my content bucket topics and let's rotate through something I haven't talked about in a while. And typically, when you have those topics to reference, stories, experiences will kind of pop up that you hadn't considered as content yet. But like they say, everything is content. Everything can be content. We just have to find a way to turn it into that. So, planning in advance and batching content ideas, that's what I want the focus to be on this winter. So, if you don't have content buckets yet, it's a great place to start for that. Okay, shifting gears a little bit to platforms because this is a big topic because everyone always wants to know where should I be? Where should I be spending my time, investing my time into creating content? And the answer is it's not one answer for everyone. There's obviously platforms that are more popular, that are serving more audiences. So those are the obvious place to start. But if Twitter used to be a big platform and now it's X and now it's still used and there's still plenty of social media managers that post content there for businesses, but how much is it used in comparison to 5 years ago? That's, something to consider when you're choosing what platforms to be on this year. So I will say it's more important to be really good at one to a few platforms, whatever you feel like you can handle, than trying to be everywhere and trying to repurpose content on every single platform because things that do well on one may fall flat on the other. And they do need to be optimized for different platforms, but sometimes that's just not always worth your time, especially if your audience isn't even there. That's just a waste of your time. So that's my number one tip is don't be everywhere. Pick where you feel your audience is and what you feel works best for your content. And I'll just go over a few of our favorites. So I'm a little biased, but Instagram is where we see a lot of success for our clients. Reels have become popular in the last 5 years or so and have helped a lot of our clients take off. And it has that combination of the video marketing reels, but we also still have the use of still images, carousel graphics, Instagram stories that we love to connect with people on in a more deep level, I guess, because we can get direct messages are a really good way to convert. So we see a lot of that with Instagram stories specifically. So it's the go-to for visual storytelling, a great place to show off your listings. If you want a landing page for current listings, open houses, it's still a great place to post all of those things and show clients where your marketing efforts are going and where people will find their listing, that kind of thing. Um, and then local lifestyle. So it's a great place to connect with other businesses as well. I go in depth here in a little bit about engaging and spending time engaging with other businesses. And that is something that you can do best on Instagram compared to other platforms. Lots of personal branding opportunities with Reels, really showing who you are and letting people get to know you on a deeper level. And then, like I mentioned, stories, carousels are something that are taking off if you do them right. So, versus what was popular, the overly curated carousels that were created in Canva that just look super polished and or almost overly polished, right? Um, Now we've pivoted to more authentic looking carousels, and I can show some examples of those if we have time at the end. But basically, it's images that we put Instagram font over. So just like you would with a reel, typing out the whole post in Instagram with those Instagram native fonts. It's doing really well because it looks authentic. It looks like you just created it today and didn't do this whole production in Canva, and people are just connecting with that better. And carousels are something that give the algorithm, it gives you a couple of opportunities to be shown in the feed. The algorithm picks those out because if someone, say, swipes past your carousel when they first see that first slide, and don't take any action on it, then there's a chance that later it will show up in their feed again, but it will be the second slide showing that time. So Instagram just wants to make sure, hey, you didn't see this the first time. Do you want to see what comes after it? The next picture? So that can be as simple as sharing two images instead of one, or sharing two graphics. Sometimes people, if they have like a shareable statement or some kind of bold statement that they want to get out there, they will share the same exact thing, but with two different background colors. So it gives people the opportunity to see that piece of content again. Facebook. So I know a lot, there's just the demographic on Facebook is different than other platforms, and there's not necessarily anything wrong with that. It remains valuable for that local community engagement piece. So, especially if you're one who is a part of Facebook groups, for instance, so like neighborhood Facebook pages or the local community pages, those can be a really great place to network. So, if nothing else, you have you post to Facebook on your business page. You have sort of a landing page for people to find you. Share that content from your business page to your personal page if that's where you have your connections. And then if you are in those community groups, those Facebook pages, um, and you're commenting on things, it doesn't necessarily have to be, hey, I'm looking for a realtor and you're responding to those. It could be offering recommendations. There's always people asking for, I need tree removal, or I'm looking for a plumber, or whatever, using your connections to share those types of things in those groups. And then people see who you are and what you do. And it is just, again, free connection with minimal effort. And just make sure that you have that quote landing page for your business page that shows the authority piece and what you do, who you are, and what it's like to work with you. It's also still great for event promotion. I love, a good Facebook event for people to find out about things. So if you're doing client things or, special events for new buyers or whatever it may be, it's a great place for that. And again, if you have connections through your personal Facebook page, it's just a great place to stay top of mind with them, commenting on their family photos that they just posted, their new business venture, whatever it may be, just staying connected with them on Facebook is there's still value in that, even if Facebook landscape looks a little different these days. And then Threads, I think it was just last month that we did our workshop on Threads and learning about that platform and kind of how the heck to use it and what it's about. So it's gaining traction for sure. It's been a few years now that it's been out, but it basically is Meta's version of Twitter or X that they created. So Facebook, Instagram, and Threads are all connected. And it's really easy to join if you have an Instagram because it just takes your Instagram login info and creates you a Threads account. So different type of content there, but very low pressure, low time commitment for just text type posts and just kind of typing out your thoughts and seeing what resonates. Lots of engagement there. And there's no need to create graphics or post brand photos or create reels. You can cross post them there, but it's not necessary. So we love that. So again, I made this little note here because as I'm going through all these, if it's just so overwhelming, I am not suggesting that you be on all six again. So any platform, the first thing is if it's going to burn you out, then just it's not worth it. Now I know some of you will laugh and say they all do, but this key is okay. If I have to pick one or two, where is my target audience? So are they mostly on Facebook? Are we finding them in those Facebook groups? Are they on TikTok? Is that where I need to spend my time? Are they professionals that are only on LinkedIn? So just that little side note to break up my ramblings about the different platforms. But the fourth one is LinkedIn, another one that we do a lot for clients, and that is great for building referral relationships. So we do a lot of B2B on there. If you're a leader, all of you are leaders, but if you are a lot of clients who have in real estate, I'm sorry, a lot of realtors who do real estate, but also have some other kind of background where they have connections in, say, like the education space or whatever that may be. LinkedIn is a great place for them to land because they already have that base. So when they start posting about real estate, it's as the transition makes a little more sense from what they maybe were previously posting about or what their previous career and what connections that got them to. So LinkedIn could be the place for you and simple content there, sometimes resharing professional articles or simple captions with on a certain topic with just a brand photo, professional photo of you, or something like that. You can share listings and things too. It just depends on who your audience is. Those aren't necessarily the warmest of leads who are ready and looking for a realtor, like ready to buy or sell, looking for a realtor on LinkedIn. But they will appreciate the connection, and it's just a good way to get kind of more long-term referral relationships. And then TikTok is just for funsies, honestly. It's that short form video that everyone loves these days. Well, loves or hates. I always joke about when we're strategizing our content creation, I use the term that everyone has TikTok attention spans these days. So we're really challenged with hooking people in the first couple of seconds if we have any chance of them stopping their scroll to look at what we've created. So that's sort of our baseline of, okay, would it grab someone's attention on TikTok fast enough for them to watch it? But the another reason that people are liking TikTok outside of the short form is that it's not overly produced, it's not overly polished. It is people turning their camera around and talking into their phones or, showing the behind the scenes, showing the humor, the relatability of what they're dealing with. when people watch a TikTok and say, "Oh, we're all just living the same life," huh? That's kind of what TikTok is all about. So that being said, it's still fair game to post plenty of real estate content, and there are realtors who are doing well there with things like home tours, and that might be you walking through the home and giving some commentary on it. Those talk to the camera type videos are working really well. It could be educational kit tips or tricks, client wins, just like any of your content buckets really can be translated to TikTok. It just has to be in video form. And again, will perform well with the right hook. So it really comes down to specific and authoritative hooks, which I'll talk more about here in a minute. But um, the last platform I want to hit on is YouTube. And that is, we don't personally do it for clients, but there are clients that it works well for. They do it in-house. And there's two different ways you could do the long form YouTube videos. If you have like a larger topic that you could speak on, kind of like a mini podcast with, visual, or they also have shorts on YouTube. So if you're making reels and you're making TikToks, I say post them to YouTube shorts because it's just another great place to get reach. So when I say the long form content that can live forever there, yes, if you have the desire to make 5, 7, 10 minute long videos, maybe you hire a videographer and make some of those that can live on that YouTube as again a landing page, or that can live on your website, but they go through YouTube and that improves your SEO and your reach. That's great, but at a minimum, if you want to get into YouTube, the shorts are a great place to kind of enter that platform. So all of that, if I haven't overwhelmed you yet, I just want to make sure I don't by saying there's always going to be new platforms. There's probably every year, every 6 months, a new platform pops up, and we'll usually test it out or give it a few months and see if it's going to stick around before we test it out. As with new features, and not all of them will be worth your time. Instagram, in particular, likes to throw in new features all the time that feel overwhelming, and we're not sure if they'll even stick around. So it's okay to wait it out if you're just trying to maintain that consistency piece. Don't feel like in order to do that, you have to jump on every trend, you have to be on every platform, and you have to experiment with every new feature. That being said, a lot of these platforms will reward people that do experiment with the new features. So if you are, quote, one of the test subjects, it's just like with Reels. When Reels came out, everyone was kind of hesitant, not sure I really want to do this. Hopefully they'll go away. Um, that was the golden opportunity for people to blow up on Instagram when they started early. Those early adapters are what get rewarded on these platforms. So if you have the capacity for it and it's something that interests you, testing those new features can be beneficial. With trends in particular, there's a lot of pressure when you see those trends everywhere that, oh, I can do that. I need to jump on that too. If it's an easy piece of content, and that will help you reach your audience, then perfect, do it. If it doesn't make sense for your brand and it's just going to drain you, it's okay to skip the new trends. And if I don't want trends to be overwhelming to you because it's such a small piece of your marketing strategy and your social media strategy in general. So, okay to say no to those, especially if it's not going to feel authentic to your brand, because that is what is everything right now on social media is just being extremely authentic. People can tell when you're not being so. And then quality, of course, over quantity, consistency over frequency. I would rather you post 1 to 2 times a week and it's really good content versus trying to post every day and it's not on brand and it's not good. So if you are trying to learn more, obviously trying to learn more if you're on this workshop call, right? But if you are trying to really take it to the next level next year, watch out for the clickbaity type growth hacks as you're learning, specifically if you're browsing social media for those, because there's a lot of them. I don't want that to trip you up. Okay, some tools to boost your content in 2026. And a lot of these are what we in our agency use for our clients, so we can recommend them wholeheartedly from our experience. So if you want to really increase your consistency, scheduling ahead of time works well because if you leave it to, I'll do it when I have time, you don't have time. I know because I'm the same way. There is no time. You have to make time. You have to schedule it into your week like you would any other work block or appointment time. Um, and there's going to be times where it feels painful because it's just automatically the thing, especially if it's not something that you really, really enjoy, it's just going to fall further down your list. So, to help you do that, getting some sort of scheduling tool or platform to manage all of your social media platforms in one place is going to help with that. Um, I think I mention it in every single workshop, so I apologize if you've been on multiples, but Metricool is our favorite scheduling platform. We used others in the past. Metricool is very user friendly. It's free. The last time I checked, don't fact check me on this because the last time I looked, at least, it was free for one brand, which would be you, as long as you don't have multiple businesses, multiple different social media accounts. You can do all the different platforms, just one per platform for the free version. So, like one Instagram, one Facebook, one TikTok, one LinkedIn. But you can connect all of those in one place so that you can easily repurpose, optimize for the different platforms, and schedule out as far in advance. I mean, I think there's a limit, like several months though, in advance that you can post or schedule those posts. Now, the only thing that we do not schedule out on Metricool specifically are reels that we create in Instagram with Instagram audio. Those we can create in Instagram and then you can schedule as far as a month in advance on the Instagram app directly, and you can cross post those to Facebook. So I just note that because there is still a way to schedule them. It just looks a little bit different because you're limited with the Instagram audio. But there's other benefits of Metricool too, like it could suggest popular posting times for your specific account. So once you get posting, it will start showing you on this calendar darker colors over the times where you'll get the best reach, the best engagement. So it kind of takes the guesswork out of that because that's another question we get asked a lot. What's the best time to post? There's really no one right answer for that because it depends on your audience and it depends on the time of year and it depends on what's happening in the world. It really varies so much. I always say the engagement literally changes with the season. It depends on what consumer habits are doing, right? So this just helps, like I said, take that guesswork out. You can also use it if you connect your DMs, your direct messages in Metricool. You can consolidate everything in there, your notifications in general, so that you don't miss anything. Because on Facebook, it's easy to miss those notifications when you have your personal page and your business page, and then you're getting Instagram direct messages. It's all in one place on Metricool, so that makes it a little bit easier. And then some other tools. I know I dogged on Canva graphics a little bit in the beginning, but we absolutely still use Canva for a number of things, even if it's resizing photos to fit Instagram or, lowering the transparency on a photo so that we can put text over it. They have great stock photo and video stuff as well that we still use for some client reels or graphics that we're making. And then there's other tools that we personally use that I can recommend. InShot is for video editing. Edits is the new one by Instagram that we love because it's easy. It's connected to Instagram already. It just has some additional editing tools that aren't too overwhelming to the point where it's just not even feasible to figure out. I promise it's not, it's pretty user friendly. And then you can connect it directly to your Instagram to just post from there. And then CapCut is another one that we use sometimes just for, I don't know, specific closed captions we need, or certain edits that we need. Or they also have a lot of templates on there that sometimes we will utilize for certain clients. So these are all, again, if you're not a graphic designer, if you're not a content creator, these are great tools, great places to start with, to have those templates in your back pocket, and just some basic editing tools that are easy to figure out. If you haven't, I don't, AI, we all have a love-hate relationship with AI, right? But it is something that when it comes to writing copy at the very least, or coming up with a content calendar of ideas, at the very least, it gets your brain in that space to then do the work. Because we use chat for certain things in our business. But it is one of those things where it's like, okay, here's the baseline. Here's the ideas we got from it. Let's improve upon those. Let's not copy and paste captions. That's definitely not what I'm recommending, because we want it to sound like you. It needs to not sound like a robot. You're not going to get a lot of progress there, but it gives you a starting point that you can tweak, right? So ChatGPT is just one example. There's other AI writing tools that you could take advantage of to help you. I would add that to your list for 2026 to start researching beyond ChatGPT what would work for you, what would help you and take some things off your plate in 2026. And that might even be a workshop topic that we have in the new year, just different tools that could help you in real estate specifically. So and then inexpensive content creation tools. So there's a microphone on Amazon that's like 15 or $20. So if need some motivation to do those talk to the camera type videos, a microphone, an inexpensive microphone that just plugs into your phone is the way to go. A tripod to hold your phone. I'm all for just propping your phone up on a water bottle and taking the video from there. But if you want to really commit to the bit, then a cheap tripod will help you, like, get you in that mindset of content creation and taking it along with you to places that you can use to create content. And then I love my stabilizer. There's DJI is the brand, the gimbal, so that when I'm on content shoots and walking and following people and any movement, it keeps the phone stabilized, because we don't want shaky video when we are creating reels. So a stabilizer when you're walking through homes, that type of thing is definitely a game changer. So it doesn't have to break the bank, but having something kind of, like I said, gets you in that mode, content creation. Okay, as promised, I told you I would talk about outbound engagement and how that can benefit the content piece. That, my biggest thing is I want you creating the content. I want the consistent content. But if all you're doing is creating that content and then expecting it to take off, getting frustrated when it doesn't, and then either continuing to post and then just log off, or getting frustrated and stopping, this is the piece that we're missing that can bring it all together, that can really send your content places. So posting and logging off isn't going to get your content anywhere, because these platforms want people to spend time on there. Now, that doesn't mean I'm telling you have to spend every waking minute, but to spend some active engagement time on the apps will be the difference maker. So, like I said, algorithms reward active users. They boost those posts and accounts that are spending time giving. You have to give to get, basically, when it comes to engagement. So when you're active on there, it tells the algorithm that you're relevant to this platform, you know what's going on, and you have something to give. So this could be as simple as going to larger accounts. So let's say you have a small account and you want more people to find you and find your business, find your name. If you go to local influencer accounts, restaurants, boutiques, um, local city council pages. What's the example I'm trying to think of? Like the Noblesville Main Street page. Right now, the Chris Kindle Market page is active. People are on that searching looking at that as something to do. Um, Anything like that. It could be seasonal, like things that are going on. You're going to those pages and leaving comments on their content, like the Colts, the Pacers. It doesn't have to just be local, but those are good places to start to connect with other local people. And you're commenting something encouraging, something positive, something that shines you in a good light. Please don't be negative. Um, and then other people go to leave comments or to read the comments, and now they see your comment, they see your page. It is an easy way for people to find you without you having to post content. Or if you have posted content, then when they go view your profile, it will be at the top and more eyes on that content. And again, the algorithm sees, okay, they're active, they are engaging. Let's put their content up at the top. Specifically, if you want your content to be seen by someone who follows you, because we all know that not all of our followers always see our content. If you engage with that person around the time that you post your content, they're infinitely more likely, and we have tested this many times, to see your piece of content at the top of your feed. So let's say you go and comment on their last three posts, and then, or you respond to their Instagram stories. So mostly this happens when you're direct messaging back and forth. So let's say they post a story and you reply to it, you say something encouraging, positive in their DMs. It can be general. It's not weird on Instagram to be responding to stories or DMing people when it's relevant. Then you post something that same day, it will more than likely the next time they open their app be at the top of their feed because the algorithm recognizes that the two of you are acquaintances, friends, whatever it may be. You guys have had interactions, so you want to see each other's content. So, and then of course, if we're doing all this outbound engagement, it's going to get your profile on new eyes without having to run ads or boost posts or anything like that, which is ultimately what we want to accomplish is getting in front of new people. So these interactions, we don't just want to, comment emojis. It needs to have a little bit of a deeper interaction. Read someone's caption before you comment something, maybe ask a question, something that relates to their content, not just that's so great on every single content. I'm not saying that's wrong to comment, but switch it up sometimes. And it's more about those thoughtful comments than it is volume of comments because we want people to think, oh, wow, they took the time to comment on this post and say this, send this thoughtful message. I'm not saying it has to be a novel either, just at least more than 3 words. And with all of this, it will lead naturally to more followers, but that's never the goal. We just want followers are great, but it doesn't even matter in this social media landscape. You want new eyes on your account all the time, and you want the ones that do follow you now to convert, right? So genuine relationships over followers. We want to build those real conversations that lead to leads. Okay, so I know I've talked about staying consistent. How do we do that exactly? So I've talked about some of this already with your content buckets and with the platform. So I'll breeze through this part, but I want to make sure I give you the tools to actually be consistent. Um, the first one being batch your content, which we already talked about, blocking that time out. 2 to 4 posts per week is that sweet spot. If you start with two to make sure that you can be consistent, that's ideal. But then maybe bump it up to 3. And if there's going to be a busy week where you can only get one, just do that, but try to stick with the consistency over 5 posts and then no posts and then, back and forth on that Ferris wheel. Um, templates will be your friend. They not necessarily just graphic templates for, new listings, just sold, that kind of thing. Those are great to sprinkle in, but I don't want that to be your content strategy because it's not one. But having those for emergencies is great when you don't have time to put anything else together. And then in addition, think of topics that could be series. So you don't have to, if you have an idea for a topic for a reel, you don't have to do an entire masterclass in that reel and caption. You can break it up into multiple parts that make sense. So again, that bite-sized information, bite-sized comment or content, we have short attention span, so there's no need for it to be super long. So that's another angle that I look at when I say templates. And then repurposing. So if you've been consistent, what did you post this time last year? Go back and pull from that and revamp it to fit this year, fit what's working now on social. So if it needs to be more specific, for example, if the Reels hook needs to be more specific or more authoritative or more authentic, just tweak the wording to make it those things. Or if you have a Canva graphic that worked well, make it in Instagram as a carousel. If you had a carousel that worked well, change it into a reel. Sometimes you don't even have to change it. You can just repost what you posted before. No one's going to call you out on it. No one probably remembers, honestly. Or, like I said, they need to hear that message again. Be aware of fake marketing advice. I mentioned this already, but I just want to make sure there's some specific things that anger me when I hear them as advice because it's just not true. But organic reach is dead. So these are going to mostly come from people who want you to run ads and want you to boost posts and spend money on advertising, which is fine for some businesses. Some companies, social media ads are a great place to invest, but that doesn't mean that organic reach is dead by any means. We just need to be leveraging it properly, and like little things like spending time on that outbound engagement is going to make or break that. And there's no need to post daily. The people who are suggesting that, I guess, I don't know if they're content creator coaches or what. If you desire to be an influencer or if it lights you up to post every day, then by all means go for it. But the large percentage of us are not interested in creating content every single day for the rest of our lives. So it's just not sustainable. You can swipe past that quote advice. And in general, there's just no one size fits all. There's a lot of noise out there. You don't have to follow every rule. You don't have to stay up with every single update. The latest is now Instagram is going to limit to 3 hashtags. They've started experimenting that, 3 hashtags per post. Some people say hashtags are dead anyway, so you don't even need to use them. We personally get great results still using hashtags. They are keywords. So you look at it like from an SEO standpoint, what keywords are going to help get this post more reach. So we're adjusting to the possibility of them moving to 3 hashtags and just making sure that our captions are keyword rich, so that the right people will find us based on what we're trying to talk about. But all that to say, it's not urgent. You can still post with more than 3 hashtags for now. It's just one of those things to kind of monitor. And that's an example of one that is real and is from Instagram, but you'll see a lot of advice that comes from clickbaity topics like that aren't even real and they aren't even from Instagram or talked about by Instagram. It's just clickbait. It's just trying to get views. Um, and there's really no truth to it. So some things for you to work on this month, or pick a couple of these things to work on this month in order to get started uh, in January. Those goals for what you even want from social media. So are you just posting or creating content because it's what you were told that you need to be doing for your business? Or what is an actual conversion for you? Is it X number of referrals or listings, or are you trying to get more local visibility? Stay top of mind with current clients. All of those are fair goals. It doesn't have to be, oh, I need to get 35 more deals out of social media. The visibility and the referral and connection piece is a great start. And then pick your content buckets if you haven't already. So 4 to 5 of those themes that reflect your brand, and then audit if you were posting in 2025 consistently or at all, look at what worked and what didn't. If you were just occasionally posting, but you can still tell kind of what worked, then use those to go even more consistent in the next year and double down on that high performing content. Um, Hold on a second. Okay. Your calendar for quarter one. So sometimes I will just print out a blank, January 2026 calendar and start writing ideas in. Grace, do you guys still do the monthly calendar of ideas with posts? I haven't even
Yes,
done that yet. Okay, so
that
that's
is
a
on the toolbox now.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so a great place to start is the content calendar that Tucker creates for you. Um, and you can tweak those are great for like copy and paste and post as is, or you can tweak them to be more personalized to you. You can use that as your starting point and then fill in with a couple of your own personal posts so that you're reaching that 2 to 4 posts, whatever, a week. But we use Google Calendar for contents and or clients and our own content. So that it's right there when we're looking at our day, what's going up today. And then that helps us strategize. So that's just an idea we love. If you use a digital calendar, just putting it on your normal day-to-day calendar, when you're going to post, what you're going to post. And then that helps you just get the actual creation piece of it down. If there's any updates to your branding that you need to do it now before you start getting consistent on social media so that it's up to date and for the year, it's kind of your starting point and then people will get familiar with that now. It might be a good time to do a video intro of reintroducing yourself and pinning that to your profile. Get all those tools ready that I mentioned. So set up that scheduling tool. It's super easy to sign up for an account and connect to your accounts. Do some content creation. So create a content reserve and keep that in a content folder on like Google Drive or whatever it may be, so that you can batch posts or videos easily. So, for example, if I'm on a content shoot or if I'm with a client, I will prop up my own phone and film some behind the scenes. So then I have something video wise to use for my own content. So that kind of stuff. Just whatever you're already doing, even if it's just sitting at your desk working, film some behind the scenes B-roll of that. And if you're not ready to start creating content, start engaging because it's way less pressure and it gives you a starting point for people to find you. Have a really solid bio set up so that people know what you do and who you are and how they can connect with you if they want to work with you. And then just spend time on that outbound engagement or post post like three general posts of who you are, what you do, and what it's like to work with you, and pin those to your profile so that if you get behind with content creation or if it's just not going to happen in first quarter, there's a landing page essentially that is fresh and people know that you're current, right? We do those pin posts for clients and we will update them every 6 months so that people know immediately the answer to those 3 questions, who they are, what they do, and what it's like to work with them. And then we keep them fresh. Even if it's the same exact information, we repost them just so that the dates on them are fresh. So something to think about. Okay, and I just want to close by talking about um, 2026 trends in general and what we've seen kind of the end of this year. I mentioned a little bit of this already, but number one, authenticity. So being authentic in your content, not trying to overdo it, not trying to overproduce it. I feel like this should be good news to everyone because we don't have to try so hard to make it perfect before posting or, coming up with the perfect content. I think that can be kind of a time suck sometimes, and we end up overthinking it and questioning ourselves and then not posting anything. So it doesn't need to be that way now. Another thing is assuming that when you post, no one that's going to see your content has ever seen your content before. And making sure that we're phrasing things in our reels and in our content so that anyone reading that, whether new new follower, new to your page, or current follower would know exactly what you do. I think people shy away from that because you think, oh, this is just repeating myself over and over. My people know who I am, but you can't assume that anymore. Content is being seen in a lot of cases by more non-followers than followers. So, and of course, we want to reach those new people. That's usually the goal. So, in your language, talking like people are seeing, assuming people are seeing your content for the first time. And with that, I suggest that clients and what we're doing for our management clients is writing up these, what we're calling authority statements. So, like 5 or 6 varieties of specifically who you are and what you do. So, for example, um, I'm a realtor in Carmel, Indiana, and busy mom of 2. Here's what I'm doing this holiday season to save my sanity. Like stuff like that. That is a very random example off the top of my head. But that piece about what you are, where you're from, something that connects with the audience, like that busy mom, or it could be something you do outside of real estate that connects with people. So kind of like we talked about on content buckets. So it could be any variety of statement that describes you, but so that you can reuse it as your authority statement on different reels. And the point of that being to get as specific as possible. The more specific we are describing who we are and why we have any business speaking on this certain topic that we're speaking on, the more people are going to directly and deeply connect with us and want more of our content. I hope that makes sense. Basically, I want you to, another piece of your homework that I didn't write on here is to create those authority statements that you can use and reuse. Okay, that's all from me. If you have questions, now's the time. We have a couple minutes that I can stick around and answer those.
There's one in the chat.
Okay, let me take a look here. Post. Um, there probably is. I'm sorry, the question is there a tool where I can design a post and then it's spread to every social media platform in its own formats? If you're talking about like a static image or graphic, in Metricool, you can upload, say we're uploading a photo or a graphic, you can separate it by platform with just a couple of clicks to do that. And you can resize it. So as long as you know the best format for each, then you can do that with a couple clicks. So Instagram, for example, right now is the 3:4 ratio is, and I don't know the exact sizes, but it's basically the ratio of when you take a portrait or vertical photo on an iPhone, it's that sizing. And then on LinkedIn, we find that square posts work better. So that's easy. It's like 1200 by 1200. But all that to say, you can easily do that in Metricool. And if there aren't questions, of course, that's fine too. But I will go ahead and send this presentation to Grace because she's able to email it if necessary. And this will also be on YouTube, the Tucker Training YouTube, right? I'm sorry, I said that like a question, but it will be on the Tucker Training. Thank you. Grace just shared the link to that Tucker Training YouTube
Could I
page.
ask a question?
Sure.
So, I found like a lot more success keeping my social media pages like the pub or like my personal ones and posting content to that other than having
Mhm.
like business pages. I wasn't getting much traction on those. But like with Instagram, I kind of like waffle between having it public and private because I've had it public before and I've had like my whole page copied, and a fake profile
Oh.
made of me. But then I feel like, well, if I close it, I'm not getting people to see, like the
Mhm.
outside people to see it.
Mhm.
So I guess like I don't know, like if you have any guidance on that.
That's a fair question. So is your question, I want to make sure I'm understanding it right, that private versus public or business versus personal?
Um, well, I guess I want to keep my content on my like personal pages.
Hmm.
Um, but like with Facebook, you can kind of make individual posts public. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? And with
Yeah.
Instagram, I haven't like found that. It's like all or
Yeah.
nothing.
It is all or nothing on Instagram. And so let me backtrack just briefly that it's totally fair in real estate to have to do that where you have more success with posting to personal pages because the big difference business versus personal is obviously ads. If you're going to do any ad posting, you need a business profile for that. On Instagram, you can add more tools like your address, which obviously you're not putting an address for what you guys are doing typically, but city and state so that people know immediately where you are. And then the only other thing is analytics. So if you're really into numbers and tracking, which we love, of course, in our business, but you can track what works, what doesn't. But that being said, especially on Facebook, a lot of people have the most success with those personal pages. So I don't know that I have a good solution for you because, like you said, Instagram is all or nothing. I'm always going to recommend public because you won't be found if you're posting to your private unless it's clients that you're already working with, or direct referrals, that kind of thing. So if you're really trying to grow, that public profile is going to be your best option. I was going to suggest looking deeper into the privacy settings when you go public. Or maybe trying a creator account. I don't know if that makes any difference on, people stealing your posts. That is unfortunate that it happens. I haven't had it happen, but I have heard of it happening.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm. All right. I think we're gonna wrap up here. And Grace, I'll send this presentation here to you shortly.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day, guys.